What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I have nothing thrilling going on today with the car, but I still need to get some stuff done. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to be doing here is we're going to be tidying up this wiring harness and making sure that I get this routed properly the way that I want it to in the engine bay. I just kind of have it loosely tucked in right now. I need to make sure that this is secure before we do start driving it. And then I also have another spot over here too as well that I would like to get tidied up. The wiring harness that comes off of the bumper, I just kind of have this taped on here real loosely, so nothing's really secured up there as well as it needs to be. I did pick up some clips right here that are hopefully going to be able to help me out, and these should allow me to fasten my loom harness into some spots. Once I find some places to actually mount them up, hopefully we'll put these to use and these will make everything nice and secure. I also do have possibly a fix for my air fuel ratio gauge today too as well. I ordered another one, so we have a whole nother separate gauge coming in on the way that once I get it, we're gonna try to play around with it a little bit and see if I can finally get power to this gauge and get it fixed, because right now it's still not working and it's kind of been one of the issues that I've been dealing with on this. So let's go ahead and get started with getting these wiring harnesses hooked up here. I'm gonna start by tackling this right up here first. So as I mentioned before, where I want this loom mounted is gonna be right underneath this section in the back right here where it's gonna be hidden the best. And the best way to get in here, I will need to drill this out in order to use these clips. And the best way to do that is going to be probably from the top, which means I'm gonna have to remove all this black piece right here and the wipers, and there's also a secondary another black piece underneath this that needs to come out. So let's get these removed so that way we can have access down here to drill our holes out. I now have the back piece off of the car, and as you can see, this is the other piece that I was talking about that's underneath. I was taking a look at where I'm going to be drilling out just underneath this lip right here, and it looks like it also does go through this black piece because it is going to end up on this ridge right here. So we're not going to remove it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drill through the top. I have my drill ready here. I have just a 1/4 inch bit on here. I believe that's correct size. And then I also have 3 of these out that I want to drill through. We're going to try one out first and just make sure that it works the way that we want it to. I also do have my vacuum set right here, so that way when this does pop through, we can catch those metal shavings so they don't go flying all over into the engine bay, hopefully. But let's go ahead, we're gonna make a mark here and drill a hole where we want this first one to be at. All right, so there's the hole. We'll go ahead and try to push it through. Make sure it catches. Okay. So that is in. Seems to be secure actually. So it's not going anywhere. So what we can do now is we'll take our loom, go ahead and mount it in here, and then we'll do a couple more all the way down. All 3 are now clipped in. So I have one right here, and then I decided to go with another one right here, and then we have our last one all the way right up here closest to the fuse box. So now what we're gonna do is try to tidy up this white wire and get this tucked in here, take off a couple of these zip ties that I have that are just holding stuff in place, and then we'll cut this to length and take that all the way up to that fuse box as close as we can. Wiring is now complete in the bay. I did end up putting another additional clip right here. I had to drill out another hole, and then this one's kind of like a zip tie clip, but I was able to pretty much hide also this white wiring for our halo rings and pretty much tuck it into this loom all the way up here. I also did tape up this part right here where those butt connectors were, so you can't even see them, especially not looking at it from a downward angle. But everything's tidied in here all the way, and it goes literally, I have it ending right there just before the fuse box. These wires, I have them just looped back around. It's not really a whole lot I can do about this area right here, just because this is where everything connects to. So you're gonna see the wires here. There's just no way to get rid of everything completely. And then I have it pretty much just all funneled in over here, going in through the bay. The only main wire you can see in the actual bay is this big red one from the battery. I could put a small loom wire on it to cover it, and I might, I don't know, but that's kind of how that one is. And then I did also take the fuse box here. I zip tied up my mess of wires here for also, again, the halo lights. And if you'll notice, I have that white part right there sticking just out the fuse box. So when this is on, you can see it's right there. This is so that way my controller, when I want to change the color of the lights, that I'm pretty sure that's the Bluetooth connector that your remote needs to be able to see. So that way, if I point it at that, I'll be able to hopefully get a good connection with the remote. If it's hidden in here, I don't know if the signal is going to be strong enough to go through this box. It might be, but nonetheless, it's out in the open for us to use that remote to change the color of the headlights. Moving on to our wheel well here and taking a look at our wiring harnesses for the fog lights. So this is the extra, I have quite a bit of extra wiring harness here in here, as you can see, that I'm trying to get tied up. Basically, I have it secured all the way on the bottom to right about in here. What the plan is I'm going to snake it all the way up this little arch right here for that wheel well, and we're going to have it come up pretty much just to take out that slack and secure it, I don't know, somewhere over in here. But right now what I want to do is get this attached to the backside of this arch right in here where the fender liner bolts in. So I think the best thing I'm going to do is just drill out some small holes in here. I'll probably just do maybe 3 or 4, and we're just going to zip tie it in. And I know this bottom part is already starting to kind of flex a little bit and get loose on me. So I'll probably epoxy this again after I'm done drilling these holes out. I drilled out the first one and I have the zip tie just hanging through there. I am actually going to have to use the bigger next size up zip ties. These are like the normal size ones here. But you'll notice that I drilled this all the way pretty much back down as far as I can, because we want, when we route this wire here, to be underneath this bolt, just because we don't want this impeding or getting in the way or anything like that. Everything's completed in here now. I know it's kind of hard to show you, but basically I have 3 zip ties. I got one here at the top, one in the middle right here, and then the other one all the way on the bottom side here. And my wire is just ran literally, try to see if I can show you here, if you can see it, right on the back side of that little wheel well place where the liner goes in. So, and it's just kind of hanging up here on top. This is also zip tied up here as well to, I believe, one of the other existing wiring harnesses that's kind of holding it in place. But it is secure, and the wheel well is going to cover all this anyway, so you're not going to be able to see it. It shouldn't bang up against it or anything, but if it's an issue, we can get back in here and take care of that and address it as needed. But other than that, this is pretty much good to go. Kind of how I mentioned, this bottom piece right here seemed like it was breaking off a little bit. That's not what you want. So I just have a little bit of plastic epoxy here that we're just going to mix this up and pretty much just go ahead, lay it on, and then I have a C-clamp that we're going to pop this on there just to get it in place where we want it. Hopefully this will just kind of strengthen it and reinforce it a little bit more. I don't want to run into any issues of this breaking and my wheel well falling off or anything like that. While this epoxy is setting on here and hardening, it takes about 15 minutes according to this, but I'm going to give it a lot longer than that to set. We will go ahead and we're going to throw on the rest of this top part now that we are finished and completed with it. Everything is now secured up top, up here. Check out what just showed up. Package from GlowShift, like I was talking about, the air fuel ratio. So let's go ahead and pop this open and we'll see what we have here. What we have here is a complete another wideband air fuel ratio gauge from GlowShift in order to fix the previous one that I have. So what we're gonna do is I wanna figure out what it is that's going on with my gauge inside the car and why it's not working or turning on. So we're gonna try to install this one and get this working. If this doesn't work, then I don't really know what to say. I've already played around. I got another gauge, an extra one, to try that out. That was not the issue. So it's not the gauge. So to me, it's probably either the module or something with the wiring harness is what it's most likely going to be. This is the box that came in the new kit. This is the, I don't know, the module or whatever it's called. This is my old one, and just looking at them, they're already different for whatever reason that is. But all I'm going to do is just swap these wires into this one, assuming that they all click in and they're the same harnesses, and we're going to see if that's the issue, because I'm leaning more towards this. I know we're getting power up to the actual gauge because I've tested it with my power tester. So let's just swap this over. Everything's now swapped over into our new one, so we're going to turn this key on, and as soon as we turn it on, we should be seeing power. If it is not the module box, then it's going to be something a little bit deeper than that, probably in the actual wiring itself that could have been messed up, because I know I don't have it hooked up improperly. So we're going to find out real quick here. All right, so there you have it. It is still not turning on. Interesting. What I'm doing right now is I'm basically hooking this gauge, this brand new setup here, minus the actual gauge part, so module box, all the wiring harnesses, I'm hooking them directly up to the battery. So I already have my positive hooked up. It's hooked up to both the red and the yellow wire with just a set of alligator clips. That should be fine. I don't have the sensor wire hooked up, but I don't believe that I will need it for this. So all I need to do is just ground this black wire right here that's hidden underneath the bottom there, and this should light up. If this lights up, then that tells me it was probably something with the wiring in my car that came in the kit, and that's what's going to be messed up. So I'd have to swap one of these over. I don't know what one it is, but probably going to be best just to swap them all. So this is just a quick test. If this does not work, I can't really explain what's going on. So let's just go ahead. We're going to hook up this last one here just with the ground. I'm just going to touch it basically. That's all I'm going to do. I am touching it right now, and I am not seeing this gauge light up still. That is definitely interesting. I'm not having any luck with this glow shift gauge. This is really starting to be a big bothersome and an issue on this car. We're gonna go ahead and move on, and we're gonna go put this wheel well inside of the car here. We can go ahead and remove that. And we're also going to probably lay my seam sealer down on this fender so we can get it nice and secured in here and make it so it stays in place and it's kind of permanent, since it is pretty much in place now. And we also need to get this hood on too. Once we put on this top piece here for that shroud cover, that those pins will kind of force this in once we put in the push clips all the way around. The front end is now buttoned up completely. I have all the clips on. This is the hood just loosely setting on here. So I'm gonna go ahead, we're gonna close it all the way just so I can show you this gap up here. Here's the gap, as you can see. Definitely a little bit of a gap, more than I would like. And then also, if you take a look from down here, you can see it's not quite level. It definitely is raised, especially like right in there. You can almost see through that. It's not quite what we're looking for. Don't really know quite what the issue is, other than this front piece could go on a little bit more. So we're good with that for right now. I'll take care of that hopefully maybe another time. We'll see, might play around with it. But let's go ahead and we're gonna get to this wheel well. I want to get this liner in. This is kind of the last piece that we need to do, and then we can go ahead and start driving it. And I'm also gonna throw some seam sealer on this too as well to secure this fender fully in. Don't forget the little mud flap piece also that goes right here. Lastly, now that I have all the clips in here, we have 3 bolts over here for the arch that connects to the front bumper. So we'll go ahead and thread these in, and this will pretty much complete the install though. That's all she wrote. You'll notice that there is a couple more little holes down here for some additional clips. This is going to be for the under tray. I'm not putting that on the car right now. I probably won't put it on until winter time, just to protect the underneath of the car. But for right now, I got a couple more months that I'm gonna run it with no under tray right now. So we're just gonna leave that as is. Last thing I have to do, put on the wheel, torque the lug nuts up here. I'll also go around and check all my wheels, just make sure everything is nice and good on this. Because after this, we're gonna go ahead and pretty much start driving it. I'll do a first start in the next video probably, make sure everything is good to go on it. But other than that, we need to start testing it and seeing what we got. I also do want to clean up in here a little bit more. There's just a lot of dirt and sand in here that still needs to be cleaned out. 95 foot-pounds. This wheel's torqued down. I also torqued down the other wheels. I'm glad I did, because all of them were actually kind of loose just from me working on it. I just never got around to checking them. So always make sure to check your wheels before you actually take your car out, especially when it's been a project car in the garage for a long while. Other than that, so here is the fitment. Still a little bit of a gap, more than I'd like to see, but I'm sure there's a lot of other darts out there that look much worse than this one, if we're being honest. One of the things I'd like to do, kind of looking at this, is get probably some hood pins for this hood, and locate them somewhere right around in this area on both sides. I think that would push this down a little bit more in order to make this a little bit more flush, and it also secure the hood a little bit better. I haven't drove this car yet, or at least definitely not on the highway, to know whether or not this hood shouldn't blow up. They don't say that you do need to run hood pins with it. The factory clip should be enough for it, but it's just an extra safety measure. It's not a bad idea to do it, and I'm thinking it's going to kind of be the way to go on this car. So I'll probably look at doing that. Other than that, pretty much the last thing that I have, last piece, would be this front piece right here. I can get that on later, but other than that, this car is pretty much going to be ready for a first start. With that, that's going to be a wrap for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and stay tuned for the next one.